Hi, and welcome to this live reading from Act 1, Seed on Fire, More Family Saga, Book 1, by Michele Sims, and this is hosted by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Chapter 1. If anyone had told me it was possible for Alicia Tavares Moore to look more beautiful than the first day I met her, or lovelier than the day I made her my wife, I wouldn't have believed it. And I would have been wrong. At 6 months pregnant with our first child and glowing, she told me on more than one occasion that she was the happiest she had ever been in her life. Her physical beauty had increased along with the size of her perfectly round and protruding belly. The touch of her skin, silky smooth and warm, sent small shivers down my spine, and its sun-kissed cafe au lait color was a delight to my eyes. Running my fingers through her styled chestnut hair, which had gotten thicker and fuller and bounced easily with each step she took, was a privilege I knew not to take for granted. Thinking about her breasts and that behind often caused me to reposition myself in my pants, so I saved those thoughts for private moments. My girl, my wife, my best friend, known as Alicia to most people, was a natural beauty. I smiled as I thought how grateful I was to live my wildest dreams on top of my game. I had a swank New York apartment and headlined my own small jazz club with my band, Fortune. I had a beautiful wife, and we were expecting our first child. Life couldn't have been better for me, Caden Moore, or Cade, as my family and friends knew me. We were both transplants from Charlotte, North Carolina, and I grew up in a family of 3 kids. Vincent, my older brother, was without question the family hero and a world-class architect. My sister, Doris, the middle kid, was a famous opera singer. My father, Charles Aidan Moore, and especially my mother, Lauren Moore, were quick to remind me that all her children were smart and gorgeous. I was the youngest in the family, 7 years younger than Vincent, and for most of my life I held a comfortable place in his shadow. We shared caramel brown skin, full lips, dark brown hair, and broad shoulders, and we were both tall. But, unlike him, my first preference was playing the saxophone instead of sports, and I was good at it. We were comfortable in our sprawling home, living in the upscale southern section of the city known as South Park. Alicia had grown up in a devoutly Catholic family in a larger-than-modest home closer to uptown Charlotte in a diverse, close-knit neighborhood. Everywhere we went, on the streets of Charlotte, and even on the busy streets near Times Square in New York, we heard the same comments. "You're such a beautiful young lady. When is the baby due?" Alicia was always patient and graced them with a bright smile, but her answers to the usual questions only led to more questions. "Is this your first child? And do you know the sex of the baby?" What was there for me to complain about? It wasn't like I didn't receive fringe benefits from giving my seed to my wife. She was more than accommodating of my needs for physical contact and was often the one who initiated daily sexual intercourse during her second trimester. Alicia's libido went through the roof as her pregnancy progressed, and I considered it my duty to provide her with relief from her sexual tensions. "Alicia, is everything all right?" She woke up the following morning and took a little more effort than usual getting out of bed. I noticed she had begun to slow down as she entered the 7th month of her pregnancy. "Don't you think it's time to start your maternity leave?" I had urged her from the time we'd gotten married to give up her job as a nurse practitioner at a local clinic, but she had refused. "Cade, they need me. I can't quit now, and besides, I want to work right up until the time of delivery if I can." My desire to have my wife at home went unheeded until one day a child who didn't want to get a shot took a swipe at her baby bump. She fell back against the wall to protect our child from receiving a blow, and without my knowledge of the incident or further urgings to quit, she turned in her letter requesting an extended leave of absence the same day. Alicia was committed to the health and safety of our child, and there wouldn't be a second chance for an incident like that. She sent a message to me that day letting me know she had packed her things and turned in her letter to her supervisor. She and her baby bump were waiting for me with a delicious home-cooked meal, sex that satisfied my every desire, and a promise she would not return before the birth of our child. I was in heaven because I didn't know I was being selfish because I had no intention of sharing my slice of heaven with others. "Licia, can we get you something for the baby?" Her coworkers pleaded with her after she submitted her letter. Despite my misgivings, she returned to the office for a farewell party / baby shower, resulting in us being inundated with onesies, diapers, assorted baby gear in every color, bunnies, teddy bears, stuffed kittens, action figures, and toy dolls from her team, families of grateful patients, and staff members in other departments. The delivery men started rolling their eyes and giving me sympathetic looks when they dropped off packages on a weekly basis. As her pregnancy progressed, invitations came pouring in for baby showers from women in her exercise class at the gym, from members of the children's charities she had supported throughout the years, and from former classmates. We had so many things. I felt the baby items had grown like a cancer in the apartment. There were baby items stuffed in every room, every closet, and every space that had a hook, nook, or cranny. It was fun at first to see Licia's expressions of love for our little one as her belly grew, but the stuff also became a painful reality for me that the presence of a little one in our lives would forever change our relationship. We had a spacious apartment by Manhattan standards, but we were running out of space with so many gifts. Licia started placing the overflow in my home office. I couldn't find my musical arrangements, my space was in constant disarray, and the flow of my creativity was interrupted by tigers, lions, and bears staring at me. I felt like I was being crowded out of my own home, and I refused to have more baby things invade my space. I needed to make my position clear. "Licia, while I appreciate the generosity of others, enough is enough. We don't need more baby things." I gave her my best puppy dog look, hoping I could elicit a little sympathy. She always told me that I had her at day one if she was being honest when I looked at her with my gorgeous brown eyes and my pouty lips. Her description, not mine. I thought I was making my point and being as gentle as possible in approaching this delicate subject. "Why do you have to be so unreasonable, Cade?" Her voice trembled, and I could see the color rising in her cheeks before she burst in an unexpected torrent of tears. I watched, mouth wide open, and remained silent as she blubbered through her response. "Caden, this has been the happiest time of my life, so what if we have to deal with a little inconvenience?" Her chest heaved, and I could hear her labored breath. "Life isn't always going to be convenient, Cade, and whoever said it needed to be in order for us to be happy?" I wasn't sure where she was going with this, so I shrugged. "Is it convenient that we have to wake up each morning to hammering and the sound of electric saws buzzing from the construction going on next door? No, but we do it. The work crew has been coming earlier in the morning and staying later at night." "Licia, I did get in touch with the owner of the building, and he said he couldn't place me in touch with the Turlingtons who own the apartment next to us. They're out of the country, and he couldn't give us their contact information. You know the terms of our homeowner's contract state that our privacy must be guarded, but there's good news. We've been given a large discount for 9 months on our homeowner fees for our inconvenience." I smirked as the last word rolled off my tongue. Licia pursed her lips and rubbed her belly, which always turned on her smile, but it faded when she spoke. "That's good to know now that I'm not contributing to our monthly income." "Licia," I huffed, and she waved her hand in the air to cut me off. "I know you're going to say we're not hurting for money, and you prefer that I stay home. But since I've been away from work, I've been getting phone calls every day from Darlene, which I haven't returned, as if she has conveniently forgotten we're no longer friends. She left a message yesterday asking me if our friendship ever meant anything to me. She said she was sorry for her part in the way our friendship ended, but she didn't miss a beat to remind me that it was my choice to fall in love with you and marry you, even though I knew she had feelings for you." My head tilted back from the weight of hearing this old discussion for the umpteenth time. Yes, Darlene had a fan crush on me, and yes, I had a serious crush on her former best friend, my Licia. I've never regretted following my heart and making Licia my wife. 2 years later, and this was still a landmine for me. I sighed and decided to tread with caution. "Licia, Darlene was once your friend, and I agreed with the decision to let you handle the situation with her. You know the two of you can never be friends again. She said she forgave you. For what, I don't know, but the woman started throwing shade at you at work after we moved in together and tried to turn the other nurse practitioners against you. But they could see through her. They know that you're the nurse practitioner Darlene wishes she could be, and she'll never again find a friend as good as you were to her. This is just Darlene trying to play more mind games with you. Licia took one of the teddy bears thrown on the couch near her and placed it in her lap. I know in my head that Darlene and I could never be friends again, but it's hard feeling the same thing in my heart. She and I started nursing school together, and we've been there for each other throughout our careers. I miss the collegial relationship that grew into a genuine friendship. Darlene is lonely, and I guess it was loneliness mixed with lust for you that doomed our relationship. I know her heart is a lonely hunter, and it won't let her be happy for us. She bit her lip and was on the verge of tears when I got up and took her into my arms. If that's true, then you should be concerned that jealousy is the poison that makes the arrows of the hunter more potently dangerous. I'm begging you to stay away from her, Licia, and there's nothing like determination followed by deliberate action to help us move forward. I've told you before, just block her number from your contact list. You don't need the drama, and tomorrow, not next week or next month, but tomorrow, we can call the charity of your choice and just get rid of most of these stuffed animals. I tried to take the teddy bear out of her lap that was blocking my attempt to rub her belly and feel the baby's movements. Let it go, Cade. I said I would take care of the toys, and I will. She tried to push away from me. Licia, I hear you, but it seems to be getting worse. I could feel the emotional landmines exploding all around me. I can't do this with you now, Cade. I tried to reach out to comfort her, but she pulled back and moved farther away from me. Licia, we need to talk about this. No, we don't need to talk when you're trying to ruin what should be a fun time for us. I'm home like you wanted, and we've spent more time together in the last few weeks than we've had in the last year. You're not touring, and I'm not away on call at the hospital. She eventually threw up her hands in frustration and left the room, with me feeling more confused and bewildered than I had been at the beginning of our discussion. I got up, started putting away the dishes in the sink, and then went to my study. Licia came into the room, where I was seated at my desk in front of a blank sheet of music, holding my head in my hands and surrounded by the menagerie looking at me. I swore the elephants and bunnies had frowns of disapproval on their faces. I was just being hormonal. She came closer and placed her hands on my shoulders as I placed my hands around her and kissed her swollen belly, which moved under my touch in a slow wave. I promise I'll give some things to charity and maybe auction off some to help mothers who aren't as fortunate. I rose and kissed her full, soft lips in appreciation. She stroked my cheeks, and it helped that she was attempting to see my point in all of this. I wasn't trying to be difficult. I just need a space to call my own. Thanks for being understanding, and I never meant to upset you. I stared deeply into her eyes. You know, Cade, with your good looks and those eyes, you can scorch the panties off me. I know you weren't trying to be mean. We kissed, and I walked her to our bedroom, where we made up with hours of love and sex. We were cool for a week following our makeup sex session, but I couldn't erase the gnawing feelings that maybe we hadn't had enough time together as a married couple before we found ourselves expecting our first child. Licia and I had lived together for over a year, but she'd gotten pregnant on our honeymoon, and we'd started our married life as a threesome. I thought I was being humorous when I jokingly shared my concerns about her being a parent so soon with her, but she wasn't having it. We're blessed to have the child to share our love with a child. We're blessed to have the chance to share our love with a child we made together. That was the end of the discussion, and time to move on. Licia, do you need an assistant to help you sort through the baby items? I asked on my way out the door to the club. The baby's things weren't disappearing at a steady pace. Instead, more baby items were being delivered. I kept my face as neutral as possible. You handle things at the club, and I'll take care of things here. Her hair was high on her head, and she was dressed in her plush white robe when she came to kiss me at the door, and slowly walked away with her hand on the small of her back. Goodbye, Cade. I felt dismissed.